Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to be talking about a report coming from Sean Highkin of the Rose Garden Report, who is a really reputable reporter, independent reporter in Portland, who, if you follow the Portland Trailblazers, he's basically the guy who's always on the nose for them. And the Trailblazers, allegedly to him, are exploring, not going to trade, but at least inquiring, making calls to trade Jerami Grant, Anfernee Simons, and Deandre Ayton. I also meant Simons, not Simon. But either way, before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you think of this? And to me, it just makes a lot of sense, especially if you guys haven't been following the Blazers this year. The Portland Trailblazers are a team that, first off, have a bit of fight in them. Last night, Deni Avdija was just getting it. And Deni Avdija has been on a tear the last few games that has been fun to watch. And this is a team that, in every statistic except offensive rebound and blocks, they are a bottom tier team. Anfernee Simons leads this team with 18 points a night. 10.5 rebounds per game is from Deandre Ayton. And Scoot Henderson, who's playing pretty well, we're starting to put it together, is averaging 5.3 assists. Now, this is a team that's 21 and 29, which actually is a lot better than you would think. Jerami Grant's actually having a down year and kind of looks a little rusty. Maybe looks like a step slower than he once was, averaging 15 points on 38% from three and the field. And his true shooting, I believe, 53.5, so just below true shooting average for the league. An underrated hero for this team is Toumani Camara. This guy might be an all-defensive second-team member. He is a dog, putting up 10 points a night, now hitting almost 45% and 35% of his shots from the field and deep, while grabbing 6 boards a night, dishing out 2 assists, and having a steal and a half. Shaedon Sharpe's another guy who's eating it up. 17.5 points while out there, 4 rebounds and 2.5 assists. Really fun guy. Like I said, Deandre Ayton averaging a double-double, 14.5 points, 10 rebounds. Deni Avdija just absolutely cooking. On the season, he is averaging 15 points on 47% from the field and 35% from three, almost 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Robert Williams only played 17 games, and supposedly he's actually holds a higher price than Deandre Ayton and Jerami Grant because they like him and they think he brings value to the team. By the way, I just want to point out Deni Avdija right here. Deni's these past 2 months, or really just if you want to do January, 18 points a night, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 50% from the field, and 31% from three. But the last 2 games in February so far, 17 points on almost 58% and 40% from three. So absolute cooking. Been so much fun to watch. Just playing real aggressive, putting his shoulder into everybody who's in his way. Outside of that, a little bit of, Donovan Klingham's looking good. Every time he gets more minutes, he looks better and better. And Delano Banton, another guy who's just kind of like going to be a role guy around the NBA for a while. A little bit of Chris Murray and Jabari Walker here and there. Same thing with Ryan Rupert. Or is it Ryan or Ryan? And Duke Reith. But for this team, who's going to take Jerami Grant? I can't see anyone taking Jerami Grant and Deandre Ayton. I'm going to be quite honest. There's no one desperate enough to take Deandre Ayton as your center. From a contract standpoint and from what he brings you as a team. Like, no team is a center away from being really good. Now, if the Blazers were desperate and they called up a team like the Hawks and they offered Deandre Ayton, I still, for Clint Capella and Bogdanovich, still think that's like a real tough sell. And that's the thing. Pacers don't need it. Are the Pacers going to be it? Pacers were they offered the sheet a few years ago to him. Are you going to trade for Miles Turner? They'd have to send you another contract too, because Andre's making a ton of money. Outside of that, Nets ain't taking him. The Wizards ain't taking him. Hornets ain't taking him. Spurs ain't taking him. Nobody's taking him. Not even the Pelicans. And that's also because he has like a few years left on that contract. Anfernee Simons, you could maybe get yourself to sell him to a team like Orlando. You can get yourself to sell him to a team like That's where it comes. Outside of Orlando, I really like Orlando. Him going to Orlando. Maybe you go to a rebuilding team, but like we see what the Wizards are with Jordan Poole, so I don't think anybody else is trying to get in that business. Could Simons go to a team like Houston? They have the contracts to do it. Now, Minnesota might be interested in like an Anfernee Simons, Matisse Thybulle pairing. I know Matisse ruled out for the season. What is Matisse's situation? I want to know that. Can somebody tell me? That's one that I'm very curious to hear about, because I thought he was going to come back at some point this season, and at this point he's just, every time I search it up, they just say he's not playing, and he's played in one game so far this season due to that ankle, and he is a perennial all defensive team caliber defender. Now, I knew 2 weeks ago they had put up that Matisse Thybulle was expected to come back, as he was like, he had preseason knee surgery, and then they're ramping him up. Obviously, I think that's a deal that could be interesting. Yeah, I just have a hard time looking around the NBA and thinking a team that like, oh, they need a really good backup point guard in Anfernee Simons. Unless like the Heat get desperate and they want to get rid of the Terry Rozier business, or one of these guys get looped into the Jimmy Butler trade if it happens. Could end up in Miami, maybe a Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee would like, I mean, before the season I had been saying Jerami Grant for Chris Middleton, but I actually think somehow Chris Middleton, even with his terrible knees, is better than the... Okay, yeah. Definitely. I just got a text message for a buddy. I'm carpooling him, or like I'm driving him to the airport, or not airport, but to the Heat arena, because we're both credentialed. So he was just asking if I was gonna go to plan ahead, and yeah, just looking at that message. Now, outside of that, what are we looking here? If you're the Portland Trailblazers, it's hard, man. It's hard. I think this is a team that has a lot to do. Their rebuild's weird. They have a lot of salary. Take some. That's where like the Nuggets would love if they could have a contract to take Anfernee Simons, and that's where I go back to all these teams that would want to have him. I like the Orlando Magic are the only ones that make sense, and I also think a team that wants him is like a team that's got to be in the bottom of like 3-point attempts. The Clippers would be an interesting fit. I just don't see how they would get it there. They would have to give up too many players that it just doesn't make sense. So that's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts. As yeah, I'm out. Bye.